Get ready. I am about to give you a quick tour of expenses in Fiskl. First, I'll show you how easy it is to link an expense to a bank transaction in accounting. Then, if you need standalone expenses, I'll guide you through creating and reconciling them later in accounting. Finally, we'll cover how to create a cash expense that automatically syncs with your cash on hand accounts. Select your bank account. For this example, we'll use Chase Checking. Once your bank has been connected or manually imported, go to your bank account and select the uncategorized expense. All we need to do is specify the other side of the transaction. We know there's a $200 credit in our checking account, and we just need to say where it's going. In this case, it will go to the Meals and Entertainment business account. In this example, we're marking the payment as a single expense. However, if the payment covers multiple expenses, like a hotel bill that includes taxi, meals, and accommodation, you can use the split function to break down the expense into its different parts. We'll select an existing vendor, but you can easily create a new one if needed. Even without creating a separate expense, you can still add details such as a description, invoice or reference number, attachments, vendors, and mark it as billable. This shows that you can manage an expense entirely within accounting without needing a separate entry. One thing to note, if you mark it as billable, an entry will be created in the expense list, allowing you to add it to an invoice. Here you can add or select a tax for your expense. Click Update, and your expense has been matched in accounting in both the bank and the Entertainment and Meals business account. Now let's head over to the expense list in the left menu. This list shows all your created expenses, along with helpful icons. The B icon means the expense is billable, with a client link to it. The chain link icon indicates the expense has been reconciled in accounting. Next, let's open our $50 Virgin expense, which has already been created by either us or a team member. Here we see the expense details. If you want to make it billable, meaning you'll link it to a client, simply select the client. Marking an expense as billable means you plan to charge it to your customer, and it will automatically appear in their recurring invoices or be available as an item when creating an invoice. However, this step isn't usually necessary if you're just tracking expenses. We'll go ahead and save this expense. A few important things to note. This expense is just a placeholder for now. It won't show up in your profit and loss report or any part of your accounting until you specify where the payment came from. Remember, Fiskl is a double-entry accounting platform, so every transaction needs both a source and a destination. This expense was paid from our Chase checking account, so we'll go to the chart of accounts and select that account to reconcile the expense. We will open our account to see all its transactions. In our bank account, we can see the $50 payment to Virgin Atlantic. We can choose to either match the transaction or expand it to view more options. Our goal is to link this bank transaction to the expense we created. To do this, we'll select the Match function, which will show all available matches. These include not only expenses, but other accounting transactions as well. From the available match options, we'll select our expense and save the match. Update to complete the matching. Now we'll head back to the expenses section to see what's changed with our expense and demonstrate how to create and mark an expense as paid in cash. In the expense list, you can now see that our Virgin Atlantic expense is reconciled. If you open the expense, you'll see it was matched with our Chase checking account. Next, we'll open the restaurant expense and show how to mark it as paid in cash. For this expense, we paid the bill using cash, meaning we used company cash from a cash account. Imagine at the start of the month, you added $1,000 to the office cash kitty, and now you're using that cash to cover this expense. Cash accounts are asset accounts found under cash and cash equivalents. There is a default cash on hand account in your base currency, but you can also create new ledger accounts or select pre-existing ones. When we save this expense, it will automatically create entries in your selected cash account and match it with the expense. Now, let's head over to your cash account to take a look. Your cash accounts are located under Assets in Cash and Cash Equivalents. Open cash on hand. In your cash transactions, we can see the entries created and linked to our expense. In summary, the best approach is to categorize your expenses directly within your banking transactions. It's the easiest and quickest method, letting you add all the details and split expenses for better management. If you or your team need to create standalone expenses, you can do that under Expenses. Just keep in mind that they won't affect your accounts until you reconcile them, either by matching them in accounting or marking them as paid from cash.